Bobcats Coaches Show here from Crossroads Social House in Wytheville with head coach Wojtek Zemlika and, as he's become known on the internets, the Anvil, Carson Andreoli. You're a popular guy now for a multitude of reasons, but among them, sending AJ Galante into a social media frenzy. So that had to be a badge of honor for, you get a Netflix star to analyze your fight, and mainly it's just you pummeling the other guy, and then it's AJ pummeling on the guy you pummeled, and then it's just, anyways. Before we get into anything else, warm-ups to that. We need a timeline of events. Please.
Yeah, so, I laid a pretty big hit on Friday, clean hit. Sometimes you take actions in games that certain guys don't like. Sometimes it injures other guys. I don't think any player's really out there to ever injure anyone, but you play the game hard and things happen. So, player ended up getting injured, and I guess in their post-game interview, they said that it would be addressed, so we kind of knew it was coming. And, Zemi does a good job at kind of giving us the information on who the guy might be that might be stepping up to do such a thing. So I was kind of given some intel, and warm-ups roll around. We're out there skating around, and a couple of the boys are jawing back and forth across the line, and there are guys over the line saying that I'm going to have to answer for my actions. And, I kind of looked them up and down. And I said, all right, buddy, your funeral. So that was that. And then, anticipation throughout the, entire anthem. Of course, it's military night. So we're doing, we're honoring our military, which was a great honor. And I think we got to give them a good little opening draw and open to the game. So, yeah, that was that.
Yeah, it was a main card bout right off the bat for a crowd of better than 2,000, many of which were either current or former military. And before we go on, I do want to mention, because you were one of the starters that was out there that was holding the flag, I think this is the coolest thing, and I hope that this tradition goes forward as long as this team is willing to keep it. It is the giant American flag tradition. And the coolest thing is, the first year, there was not a single American that was holding the flag. It was Euros and Canadians. This time, we had 2 Americans, 2 Minnesotans from the quote-unquote state of hockey. You had Reller and Daly, you and Vero, 2 Canadians, a Czech, and a Swede. And I think that's an embodiment of what so many of our military fight for, is for you guys from all different walks of life that have this one dream to come to this country to play the game you love in front of these people, right?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's what they fight for. So we're just super proud to be able to represent that and come together and play for a great cause. And I will add in there that I am an American citizen, by the way, so not just a Canadian. Proud to be both.
As Shorzy would call him, a border hopper. I'm kidding. That's actually Sean Avery's fault. But Zemi, let's circle back to the start of the weekend. What we said on the show last week was, needed to be physical, needed to be on our toes. I think there was, the result Saturday night was disappointing, but I think you guys played a strong 60 minutes both nights, and there's, of course, things to work on, but nothing but positives to take away.
Yeah, I think, Brett, we've played, I think Saturday we played better game, and we ended up with the loss, while on Friday we competed hard, but we didn't necessarily played a good hockey. It was an exciting game for everybody else in the stands and watching on the TV, but not the best efforts from us. But, we've been able to get that win. The whole weekend was a lot of PIMs, right? And that's not just from us, from them. It seems like it was a special team action. It's more than 5-on-5 games, but again, getting 3 points out of 6 is we achieved something, but we didn't. It wasn't the goal, right? So, like you said, it was a bitter ending on Saturday night, but we have them coming up in a couple of weeks again to our barn, and that's where we're gonna be looking to take a next step.
Yeah, over the next month and change, you've got 4 more meetings with them, Carson. So, if this weekend was any indication, the next 4 with this team are going to be tight, they're going to be physical, and they're going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think much is going to change in terms of those details. But obviously, like Zemi said, we didn't hit our goal, and every game we're striving to do better and get in better in the areas that we need to be. So that's what our goal is, and that's the performance we're looking for.
Yeah, Zemi, it's got to be tough to kind of go back and analyze things when 50-60% of the game is special teams, right? Either you're shorthanded or they're shorthanded, and it's hard to go back and really analyze 5-on-5 play when it wasn't really the majority of the game, right?
Well, it all depends. So, sometimes it depending how many guys you have in the box, right? If we are on the PK, for example, if the fight's happening, because the whole lineup kind of changes, right? And now you're putting a guys in a position they haven't practiced in, they may not be necessarily comfortable in, especially on Saturday. We ended up with 4 guys on the bench and 4 guys on the ice, and it was like, well, you all gonna get to play a PK today. Let's get the most out of it. But when it comes to our special teams, I think, we're sitting at 19% on the power play. I think what's better than in the previous years. Obviously, there's been a setback in the PD when they scored a couple goals, but I think in overall the power plays has been getting better. But it's still not at the goal what we have set for us. When it comes to a PK, I don't think our PK is necessarily the best. I don't think it's the worst, but we're very undisciplined first 8 games in the season, and that's something we constantly talking about. With all that change of the rules, it really affects some guys, because from the last season to this season, if you two-hand somebody stick to the stick, it's a call, right? Some players, they pride their game on that. They're really good with the stick, and that's how they are able to strip the pucks and separate the guys from the pucks. This year, it's taken away, so it's definitely adjustment for a lot of guys. But with that, it's not just the stick penalties, right? It's the roughing calls. It's sometimes getting not controlling your emotions out there, and that's an area of the game what we need to clean up as a team.
Yeah, and that's something that you did touch on going into the weekend was that this is a veteran group that prides themselves and is very good at drawing you into certain things and taking penalties that otherwise you wouldn't take, because the mental part of the game is important to them, that psychological aspect, and we talked about it, and it did rear its head at times on Saturday as well.
Correct. Well, I want to mention that, we're not talking here about the fighting, right? That's something what I think that first period of the second game was something what really brought us together as a team. We've been waiting for a moment when kind of everybody steps up for each other. But we're talking about those, 2-minute penalties. We're on the PK and we clear a puck out of the ice and we going on the 3 against 5 PK. Or below the 2 minutes, third period, our goal is to have 1 or less PK, and we ended up being 4 or 5 times in the penalty box, right, when the game is close. So those area of the games is what needs to be cleaned up. And like I said before, if you spend, I don't know how many times, we were 18 times the second game in the box. If you spend 18 times going in the box, it doesn't just mess up the energy of the guys going on the special teams, but also the guys who doesn't get to play the special teams, right? They're called sitting on the bench. They're not necessarily in the game, and it's really difficult after a few minutes not playing just to hop out there and do the job what's expected from you. So the chemistry all around, we have to find a way to be more disciplined, and no matter the rules are changed or not, we have to do a better job at feeling it out at the start of the game, what the refs are like, and what we can and what we can do.
Yeah, Carson, I think that's ultimately, the most frustrating part for you guys is a lot of these penalties, they aren't necessarily for lack of effort. It's either it's a bad bounce, it's a lack of discipline in a certain moment, and that's something that is often hard, to nail down, but it's something that as a group, once you can kind of get it figured out, it can really galvanize you and strengthen everybody's game, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason sports are so great is because it's a game of judgment, right? Game of skill, game of judgment, and it's no different for the refs. They're human beings. They're making judgment calls. Not always calls that we agree with, but you have to learn how to play the game. And unfortunately, if it's not going your way, you have to find a way to get around it and play the game in a better way. Not take those penalties, stay disciplined, and really just put your head down, and try to get away from what hurts you. So again, trying to stay disciplined, that's kind of the goal. And Zemi mentioned, you have to kind of feel out the refs, how they're making certain calls, and it's just all part of the game, little details.
Yeah, we talk about the little things a lot, and you touched on it a minute ago, Zemi. The start of that game, the fights really bringing this group together. The first one, I think everybody kind of expected. The next two, I guess, kind of developed as things went on. But when you see somebody like Daly, who's, as we know, not afraid to be physical, but his hockeyfights.com page doesn't have that many videos on it. So, when you see a guy like that drop the gloves, Heitze, of course, no stranger to it either. I got the same vibes when Daly went into the box and Carson sitting there ready to high-five him. I got Matthew Brady Kachuk Four Nations vibes, because it just, when you have the Pim party going on, yeah, it's a hilarious image, but let's turn it around and turn it into a serious thing, because when you see that many guys in the box, okay, maybe it's not ideal, but at the same time, when you look at the circumstances that went into it, that's proof that everybody on this team has the other guy's back.
Yeah, you're right. They got each other's back. That's for sure. But it did get out a little bit out of the handle. Like you said, the other two fights were unexpected. I think the only two fights Dell's had was against Binghamton and on Saturday night. He likes to get in there when the rest of the boys get in there. Heitze, that's one of his things. He's all around player. He'll put a puck in the net and he'll fight as well. But yeah, it's a part of the game. They came to our barn, and we're not gonna let anybody to push us around. That's what we said in the past, and that's how it's gonna go on forward. But we still, after that all happened, and I think again we showed our identity. We came together. We talk about the second period, that it hasn't been the best for us in the previous games. We've been able to make that adjustment there, and we won that period on the scoreboard. But then we got in the third period, right? And in the third period, we talk about how we have to play, and yet again, our emotions took over, and Portiron did a great job at going to our net and stopping in front of the net, and we didn't handle it the best. That's definitely an area of the game we want to take away from them. I think we can do a better job at it and draw some more penalties to get more on the power plays. But like I said, we got a little bit away from playing the game, and we were more chasing and really wanted to play the third period just like we played the first period. What not always you can do so. At that time, it's you have to be smart. Every little mistake, every little detail, little complacency can cost you a game. And Portiron is a team who's very experienced, and they've been waiting for that one breakdown to score the goal, and their plan worked on us. So again, something to take away from that game, from what they did well against us, what we can do better as a team, but also I learn and becoming a little bit more mature as a hockey team to learn how we have to play in the third period.
And when you look at that, the end of the game Friday to the end of the game Saturday, it really it mirrors each other. The only difference is the result. It's crazy when you look at the stats. Back-to-back nights, you have a goaltender make 50 saves. Back-to-back nights, the game ends 4-3. Back-to-back nights, the goal is scored in the final minute of regulation. The only difference was who won Friday and who won Saturday.
Well, Brett, to me, the third period from Friday and Saturday night is exactly the same. We were undisciplined, right? That we've been able to get a win on Friday night was very lucky. It was great moment for Philip getting the puck. He actually made a great call. He asked me if he can go in the box because he didn't play much of a PK that game, and then he ended up coming out of the box and getting the puck and scoring a goal. Beautiful goal. But yet again, coming back to we just skilled 3 against 5 for almost the whole entire 2 minutes. Same thing has repeated on Saturday night. So yet again, those are, to me, the points are important, but the development is even more important for us. I think it's a long season, and we have to, like Carson said, be getting better every night and every game, every practice. And it seems like we repeated the same mistake from Friday to Saturday. We just had a bit better compete, and we played the game better. So again, those areas of the game is something we're focusing on, and we gotta make sure it doesn't happen against the teams like Carolina this upcoming weekend with their power plays.
Yeah, we know how lethal their power play can be. Their only goal in the only meeting this season came on the power play, so that's going to be an important thing going forward. But before we move forward to this upcoming weekend, Zemi, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on Carson's versatility this past weekend. You guys were a little banged up on the back end. Lair, Igor, Kugler, all battling some things, nursing some things. Carson has to slide back to defense, does an incredible job. So just talk about really how great it is to have someone in your lineup that can slide back there and not miss a beat.
Well, Carson played a little bit of the D last season against Morris City, and he did a great job at it. I think he also put up the most points in the weekend from a back end from the defenseman. But I talked to Carson at the start of this year. I said, well, there may be situations where I need you to play D because I know you're capable of doing it. And we got in that situation. And I think Carson played even better than what he did last season for us in the back end. And, I told him, I said, look, if you're comfortable with it, I want you to go forward playing a D because he brought what we were missing on the back end, that little edge, playing with that edge. Gives the guys the confidence when he retrieves the puck. And he's a leader, and I thought like with the young decor, we need another leader in there, himself and Clino, who can kind of, direct the rest of them out there. And Carson did a phenomenal job. And, going forward, he'll share the role of the forward and the D, depending what we need as a team. But he's a guy that we can rely on both positions.
Yeah, Carson, that's that's huge to Zemi and huge to your teammates as well. But walk us through, your mentality, your mindset when you go into the weekend, knowing that might be a possibility, and how much confidence that brings you should the need arise to do it again when you go out and perform like you did last weekend.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do things that aren't necessarily seen in the future or counted on, So when Zemi comes to me and says, hey, we kind of need you to hop back on D, it's not really much of a question. I have the comfortability to say yes. I'm confident in my abilities to do so. And it's just really a matter of, where I'm needed and when. Whatever way I can help the team out is how I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So being able to do that, I think, is definitely an asset. And I'm just happy that I can be able to do that to help the team in any way possible. At the end of the day, if we're winning as a team, I'm winning as a player. So it really doesn't matter the outcome otherwise.
And Zebby, that sentence right there is a big reason why you guys made the decision to make him an alternate captain.
Correct. I just wanted to say that's why Carson is a captain. Like he said, he's an asset to us in every way possible. Not just on the ice, in the locker room, in the community. To myself. So yet again, it's Carson's been here since year one. He experienced everything we went through as an organization, the lows and highs, and he definitely preaches what we want to be preached as Bobcats hockey.
Yeah, Carson, for you coming back here for your third year, we kind of talked about it over the summer a little bit, but, we talked about how excited you were and how pumped you were to get back. All right, now we're back. We've seen, how things have gone through the first nearly month of the season. What is your kind of gauge on where things are at with this team and what you guys can accomplish?
Yeah, we have an amazing group this year. We have a mix of veteran players, and we have a mix of young guys too with a lot of capabilities. So the grass is green in some areas, and green players don't necessarily make a bad team because of the lack of experience. In fact, I think it gives us depth, which is great. So I think it's just cultivating the culture we want to have in the locker room and on the ice. And like we've talked about already, every day, every week, every game is a step, and we're just hoping we continue to step in the right direction. Everyone's seen the capabilities that we have as a team through the first couple weeks, winning against top teams like Columbus and Carolina. And, I mean, the possibilities are there to win against every team in the league. So really, really good things that we've seen already. We just got to keep our heads straight. And, again, I think the leadership group, we've been talking every week on what we can do better to keep the team in check, keep the younger guys that don't have as much experience in check, and really bring the team into the spot that it needs to be.
And we talked over the summer as well about the playoff experience that you guys were able to gain. Have you really taken some mental notes from that into bringing into the leadership group this season what you were able to learn at the end of last season?
I mean, for the most part, I think the playoffs gave us this area of experience that we haven't seen before for a few of us. Other guys have been in plenty of playoff games. But, I mean, ultimately, every game gives you more experience. And, at the end of the day, what we're trying to get at here is we want to be playing playoff hockey every game. So that kind of style of the game, hard compete, do or die hockey, that's the game we want to play game in and game out, because that's the most successful hockey we can play, in my opinion. So, that's kind of where we want to be.
That means you want to touch on that as well.
Carson said it all. We talk about starting this season that every game is a playoff game. I don't think we were ready to play a playoff last season. That excitement took over for the first game against Baton Rouge, but going in the series with Carolina, we didn't play the game we needed to play. That simple hard game. So, this year we made an adjustment. We talked about it since our first meeting during the main camp that there's a 56 steps to take in the regular season, and every one of those games is a playoff game. If we can get it as a second nature to us, then, it's not going to be any different going to playoff. So, again, that's the mindset we want to carry as a team. Every weekend is the little playoff series for us, right? It's either a split, you move on, or you fail, and that's the way we're looking at it.
Yeah, Carson, kind of transitioning to this weekend. Zemi and I had talked about it on the show, but before that Friday game a couple weeks ago, what the thought process was, what the feelings were, and it had to feel good for you guys to go into that barn and flush the taste that was in your mouth at the end of last season.
Yeah, I think with Carolina, the buildup of the feud's been there, and the rivalry. So we had some unfinished business, and it's still not finished, and it won't be till the end of the season. So every game's a new game, new opportunity, and we just we want to do our best to come out on top.
And this is going to be their first visit here to Hitachi Energy Arena this season. So in turn, you go down there, you make the statement down there. Now they come up here, and you have to make them feel what you've made Columbus feel, what you've made Port Huron feel, what you've made everyone who's come into this building feel, and what you plan on making every opponent feel, which is this is not a fun place to come play. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's our barn, it's our rink, right? And home advantage is a thing. Like you feel comfortable in your home rink. Your fans are loud. You want to give them something to cheer for. So we just always aim for a successful game, and it's no different away. But the emphasis at home is much greater, I think. So when we can put on a good game, perform well, and ultimately come away with a win in our home rink, it just feels that much more sweet.
Tell you what, you want to talk about getting the crowd going. When you spun the bucket Saturday night, I think I literally felt the ground shake. I mean, we had a crowd of almost 2,000 there, and every one of them no one was sitting down. Everyone was on their feet, screaming their brains out. It was fantastic. Zemi, what did you guys feel on the bench Saturday night with that huge crowd?
It reminded me a little bit of the game against Baton Rouge. We scored that power play goal. How loud the arena and everybody was. But again, it was a great moment, not just for everybody outside of the bench, but also on the bench. Like I mentioned, for the guys to come together, really standing up for each other. I'm just very grateful and happy that moment has came and brought us together. And you can feel it just standing above those guys on the bench, how it changes everything, the communication, the energy. It was just, in one word, I guess, to say electric.
Yeah, and you can kind of carry that forward into this weekend, right? You're going to play another opponent in Twin City that has experience. They've got some of that veteran savvy here and there. They might be struggling, but this is not a team, as you guys well know, to be taken lightly, and their record is not indicative of the talent that they have.
Yeah, I have to disagree with them saying that they're struggling. I think this past weekend they've played really good hockey, and being Columbus with having a Hunter back in the lineup was a big stepping stone for them. They made some roster movement. The team definitely looks better than we've seen them last time, and this will be completely different games. Now, like Carson said, we do have unfinished business and always going to have against Carolina. But we like to stay humble and confident, and the confidence is built out of the work we are putting through the week and the preparation we do for the game. So yet again, no matter it's a Carolina or Port Huron, whoever it is, for us it's another step to take, and not just to develop and get better, but also get those 3 points.
Yeah, and as Zemi said, Carson, for you guys to be able to be galvanized and electrified and stay together, communicate all those little things, to remain a tight-knit unit, just as important as they were last weekend, they're going to be this weekend in a rivalry series, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, that stuff, it builds on itself, right? So week to week, game to game, if we can continue to do those things, we're going to grow stronger, and that's all we wish for and strive for.
And you talk about each game being a step, each game, also snowball. You put enough snowballs together, snowball gets rolling down the hill, everyone's pulling the same end of the rope, good things happen, right?
Correct. I mean, we've been talking about being cohesive group here every year, right? And again, I think this last game really helped us to get to that point. And now, again, no matter of the little things, the little details, paying attention to the details of the game will make a difference. But, last week we talked about compete and that we have to start competing. And I think we have done that even in the Saturday game when we lost. Now there's other areas we need to focus on what I felt like we were lacking. So again, we got to fill those holes so we can be continuously becoming a complete hockey team.
And Carson, this is a Twin City team that as we know, it is a rivalry game, but they're going to come in, I'm sure, looking to flush the taste of losing 5-1 at home to their arch rival, flush that out of their mouths and try and return the favor to you guys in your home barn. So, as a team, is that something that you guys are kind of mentally preparing for, to be ready for, a full throttle attack, really?
I mean, I don't know that, it really makes a difference. Like, we're always trying to prepare for every game. little details may change based on the team, their capabilities, certain players and their capabilities. But again, like we want to come prepared to every game, and the goal is always a win. So we kind of mentioned before, it's unfinished business, and every game is a new game, is a new opportunity. So.
Yeah, Zemi, for you guys this weekend, of course, they're not divisional games, but they're still important. We talked about, last week being the first divisional series, how important that was. But every game, as we said, and as you guys have touched on a number of times, is a playoff game. Every point, as we know, is so crucial. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, yes, it's still early in the season. There's still some things to figure out. But at the same time, you have to play every game like it's the middle of April.
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's another step, right, to take. It's another day to another weekend for us to continue getting better. That's the way we're really looking at it. Yes, we play in Carolina. Yes, they have a different structure than Port Huron. They're a different hockey team. Their strengths and weaknesses are different, and that's all what we go through the week and what we talk about in the video and in the practices, the adjustments we're making. But yet again, it doesn't change whole lot for us as a team and how we want to play.
Yeah, Carson, it seems like the energy throughout the even just the small start to the week we've had here, seems like the energy for you guys has been there from the moment you guys get to the rink to the moment you guys head for workouts or wherever's next. It's been that way really all season long.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a group that's excited to show up every day and get to work, I think it makes a world of difference. So, I can go down the line of the guys we have in this locker room that just are willing to put in that work. And, again, like, it's those things that make the world a difference and can create success for us in the game. So that's all we wish for, to have those teammates on our team, to be able to rally around each other and provide the performances we need to.
Zemi, it's got to be refreshing and good to see for you as a coach when you see guys wanting to get out there 10 to 15 minutes before practice actually starts to get that little bit of extra work and that want to come in the middle of the day or late in the afternoon and just find ways to stay involved and make themselves better.
Yeah, for sure. We are an organization where and as a team, we spend more time in the locker room and doing these extra workouts and stuff than anywhere else. So we are asking a lot from the guys, and it does take a special group and individuals to want to be a part of it. And like Carson said, I think we have that this season. Now, not every day is easy. Not every day everybody wants to show up, and there's a dog's day sometimes. Your body's hurting, your mind's not ready, but the guy's doing a good job to lift each other up and getting on the same page and embracing those moments and still showing that excitement and putting the work in.
Yeah, and Carson, as Emmy and I talked about last week when Milan was here, it's it's those moments towards the end of practice when guys' bodies are tired, guys are feeling gassed. It's it's great to see that there's always someone right there beside the guy who might be the most gassed out of anybody that is there to lift them up and say, hey, let's get through this, because there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we have a great group of men on our team, and that also goes a long way. When you have not only great hockey players but great people, we're able to push each other to new limits. So having guys beside you that you trust, that you have friendships with off the ice, and that are just ultimately good people, that's what makes the difference and makes it easy to show up every day and go to work beside each other, push each other and uplift each other when times get tough. So there's nothing more I can say about that.
Yes, I mean, before we move forward to our normal final segment of the program, that's something that you've touched on a lot in our conversations, is that the big thing that you look for when you look to bring someone into this team is someone who's not only a great player, but more importantly, a great person. And I think that this group, it is 20 plus terrific hockey players, but also terrific human beings.
Absolutely. All those guys are great athletes, hockey players, and they have a good personality. We got also a lot of characters on the team, that's for sure. But we have a good leadership group. That's where it all comes down to. Sometimes it's not all nice in the practice, and sometimes one of the leaders, myself, have to snap on the guys to kind of get them back straightened up for the rest of the practice. They're just part of it. Sometimes that's something I require from the leadership group because, again, it's different. When I do it, it's different when the guys do it, right? They have to push each other in any way possible on a daily basis. You can never get comfortable. You never can go just through emotion coming to the rink. You have to find a way to get better and to invest your time at the rink. That's how you get better, by investing the time. And no matter what it is, even on our days off, like the guys going hiking together, the guys doing different things together, but they're still doing it together, and they're still talking about the game. If not about the game, they're taking care of their bodies, and that all is part of being a professional hockey player and part of being a good team and good teammates to each other. So yeah, we're very lucky to have the group what we have. Now, we're not at a goal where we want to be. We're at 500, but if we continue striving in the direction we are and clean up the things what we talk about, I think this team has a bright future.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Carson.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to be said there. Zemi hit it right on the head.
Yeah, that one's hard to follow. So, before we get to his 3 keys to victory, your 3 keys to victory this weekend against the Thunderbirds.
I should have prepared for this because you did this last year.
I do it every show, but
well, that's true as well. I'm gonna say motivation. Finding that piece of motivation that pushes each of us. I'm gonna say compete, and then I'll say discipline.
Zemi, your turn.
Well, last week was pretty easy. This week I'm gonna add to it. So compete's gonna stay the same. Discipline is the correct one, and then being connected.
So you got 2 out of 3. So that's I think that's actually the record for matching Zemi's keys so far. Remember, it is Superhero Night Friday night and Mascot Mania night. So Rufus and Ruckus have gathered up all their rowdiest friends. No, we couldn't find Hank Williams Jr. We tried, but the rest of Rufus and Ruckus's rowdy friends will be here for Friday night, not Monday night. Or Saturday night, whatever it said in the song. Anyways, if you are in a superhero costume, kids over there on the trampoline, well, they disappeared now, but kids at heart too, I guess. If you're in a superhero costume, you do get in free. Remember that. And no, a Carson Andreoli jersey does. Oh, yes, actually, I'm sorry, it does count as a superhero costume. Zemi, unfortunately, will not be wearing a cape on the bench, I don't think. See, we tried, but then Warner Brothers threatened to sue us for the use of the Superman name, image, and likeness, and there was a whole brouhaha there. And then we tried to go Marvel, and then Disney threatened to sue us, and then we were like, okay, we should probably just stop now. But what are you guys most looking forward to about Friday night, other than just being able to play in front of the home fans? I think that's really it.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. Every game we get to play at home in front of this great group of fans. It seems like every game we play, the crowd gets louder, more supportive. We see more people out. I mean, ultimately, bringing the game to this community has been one of the coolest things, I think. And I'm just super grateful to be a part of it. And every game we get to play is, that's what we live for, and that's what we practice for and do all this for. So.
Yeah, Zemi, as we move forward into the weekend and into this season, I think that's a big takeaway. Is it's really great to be a part of what's being built here.
I don't think Carson could say it any better than he did. The organization, the community, the fans, everything has grew so much since day one, and it continue growing. Every game we every game we have, and you see new faces coming to a game. You see more kids getting attracted to play the game. We're lucky in this town to have that professional hockey, and have the guys to come here and spread the belief, and then the positive effect they do. And another thing I'd say, we got to be grateful and thankful is just to have the opportunity to do what we love on the daily basis, because you never know when it's your last day, and that's the way I like to think. So every day, we are able to play the game or coach the game, is something I'm very grateful for.
That's a good spot to end right there. For Carson Andreoli and head coach Wojtek Zemlika, we will see you Friday night from Hitachi Energy Arena.